The morning sun rose softly over Crimson Hollow, the largest werewolf settlement in the Northern Valley. Flowers had been placed along every path, and silver ribbons hung from the trees. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of Kael Drascourt's life. He was getting married. Kael was 24 years old, tall, quiet, and known throughout the pack as a gentle soul. He held no important rank. He was not strong like the warriors, and he was not clever like the strategists. Most people barely noticed him at all. But none of that mattered to him, because today he was marrying Celine Marrow, the woman he had loved since childhood. He stood in front of the small mirror in his room, adjusting his collar with shaking hands. He had never been good with words, and his heart was pounding so loudly that he wondered if the whole pack could hear it. "You look nervous," said a familiar voice from the doorway. Kael turned and saw Dorian Voss, his closest friend since they were boys. Dorian was the son of Alpha Magnus, the most powerful wolf in the entire territory. Despite the difference in their status, Dorian had always treated Kael like family. "I am nervous," Kael admitted, laughing softly. "What if I say the wrong thing in front of everyone?" Dorian placed a hand on his shoulder. "You won't. Celine loves you. Everyone can see it." Kael smiled, feeling a wave of relief. He trusted Dorian more than anyone. He had no idea that this trust would soon be the thing that broke him. By midday, the entire pack had gathered in the grand courtyard. Long tables were filled with food, and music drifted through the air. Alpha Magnus sat on his high seat, watching everything with a calm, unreadable expression. Beside him sat his advisors, whispering quietly among themselves. Kael walked down the aisle, his heart full of hope. The pack members smiled and clapped as he passed. At the end of the aisle stood Celine, dressed in a flowing white gown, her dark hair decorated with small white flowers. She was beautiful, and for a moment, Kael forgot all his nervousness. The ceremony began. The pack elder spoke about loyalty, love, and the bond between two souls. Kael listened, his eyes never leaving Celine's face. He reached for her hand, ready to say his vows. But Celine did not take his hand. She stepped back. A confused silence spread through the crowd. Kael blinked, unsure of what was happening. "Celine?" he whispered. She looked at him, but there was no warmth in her eyes anymore. "I can't do this," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I don't love you, Kael." "I never did." Gasps rippled through the courtyard. Kael felt his chest tighten, as if the air had been pulled from his lungs. What are you saying?" Celine turned toward the crowd, toward Dorian, who was standing near the front. "I love someone else," she said. "I have loved him for a long time." Dorian walked forward and took Celine's hand, lacing his fingers through hers. The pack stared in shock. Kael's mind refused to accept what he was seeing. His best friend, his bride, together. "Dorian?" Kael's voice cracked. You knew about this?" Dorian did not look guilty. Instead, his expression turned cold and proud. "I have known for a long time, Kael. You were never meant to have her. You were never meant to have anything important." The crowd murmured, confused by the cruelty in his voice. Alpha Magnus rose from his seat, raising a hand to silence everyone. "There is something else you should all know," he announced, his voice echoing through the courtyard. "Kael Drascourt has been hiding lies from this pack for years. He claimed loyalty, yet secretly plotted against our family." "That's not true," Kael shouted, his voice trembling. "I have never done anything against this pack. I don't understand what is happening." But the pack, trusting their alpha completely, began to whisper among themselves. Suspicion spread like wildfire. Guards stepped forward, gripping Kael's arms before he could react. "Take him to the forest border," Magnus commanded. "Let the wildlands decide what to do with traitors." Kael struggled, but the guards were too strong. He looked at Celine, silently pleading for her to say something, anything, to stop this madness. She turned her face away. He looked at Dorian. "Why?" he asked weakly. "We were friends." Dorian's eyes flickered, just for a moment, with something that looked like guilt, but then it disappeared. "Goodbye, Kael." The guards dragged him through the crowd, past the tables of food, past the silver ribbons, past everyone who used to smile at him. No one moved to help. No one dared challenge the Alpha's decision. By nightfall, Kael was left at the edge of the forbidden forest, his wedding clothes torn and dirtied, his body weak from the struggle. The guards left without a word, leaving him alone beneath the darkening sky. Kael lay on the cold earth, staring up at the stars. He thought about his life, how small and unimportant it had always felt. And now, even that little bit had been taken from him. Tears slipped down his face, but no one was there to see them. "Why?" he whispered to himself. "Why did this happen to me?" The forest around him grew quiet, as if the trees themselves were listening to his pain. He closed his eyes, feeling consciousness slipping away. He did not know if he would wake up again, and in that moment, he almost did not care. Deep in the forest, a woman named Liora Ashby walked between the trees, gathering herbs under the moonlight. She was a healer, known for her quiet wisdom and her connection to old magic that most wolves no longer believed in. She moved carefully through the shadows, her senses sharp. Then she felt it, a pull, deep within her chest, drawing her toward the forest's edge. She had felt this sensation only once before, many years ago, when she was just a child. She followed the feeling until she found Kael's body, lying still among the fallen leaves. She knelt beside him, pressing 2 fingers to his neck. His pulse was faint, but it was there. As she examined him, her eyes caught sight of a small mark on his shoulder, hidden beneath dirt and dried blood. It was a symbol shaped like a crown wrapped in flames, almost invisible, unless someone knew exactly what to look for. Liora's breath caught in her throat. She had read about this mark in old texts passed down through generations of healers. It was the symbol of the Alpha King bloodline, a line of wolves believed to have vanished long ago. "It can't be," she whispered. She remembered whispers from her grandmother, stories about a hidden prince whose memories and power had been sealed away by a curse, hidden so well that even he did not know who he truly was. The pack who once ruled with kindness had been betrayed and destroyed by a rival family seeking control. Liora looked down at Kael's pale face. If this was true, then everything he had been told about himself, his entire life, had been a lie created to keep him weak and hidden. She placed her hands over the mark, closing her eyes and focusing her energy. She began to chant softly, calling upon the old magic that ran through her bloodline as a healer. The mark on Kael's shoulder began to glow faintly, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Kael's body trembled. Images began flashing through his mind, faster and faster. A grand castle surrounded by fire, a woman's gentle voice singing him to sleep. A man's strong hands lifting him onto powerful shoulders, then screams. Chaos, darkness. He gasped, his eyes snapping open. The pain in his chest was unbearable, but it was different from heartbreak. It was power, awakening after years of being locked away. "What is happening to me?" he managed to say, his voice rough. Liora kept her hands steady. "Stay calm. Whatever you feel right now, let it come. It has been waiting a long time to be free." Kael's body convulsed once more, and then a wave of energy rushed through him, stronger than anything he had ever felt. His muscles, once weak and thin, filled with new strength. His senses sharpened. He could hear the smallest movements in the forest, smell the earth beneath him with perfect clarity, feel the call of the moon as if it were speaking directly to his soul. When the transformation settled, Kael slowly rose to his feet. He looked at his hands, which now felt different, stronger, more certain. "My name," he whispered, memories rushing back into place. "My real name is Kael Aurelius Vandermeer. I am the last heir of the Alpha King bloodline." Liora bowed her head respectfully. "Yes, my prince. Your family was betrayed and destroyed many years ago. The same people who betrayed them today are the same family who betrayed you years before that." Kael's jaw tightened as understanding flooded through him. Magnus Voss was not simply cruel by chance. He had orchestrated everything, hiding Kael away under a false identity to prevent the rightful heir from ever discovering his power. "They tried to bury who I really am," Kael said quietly, "but they failed." He looked toward the direction of Crimson Hollow, his eyes glowing faintly with a golden light that had not existed in him before. It's time they learned the truth. 3 days passed. Word spread quickly through the territory that someone bearing the ancient mark of the Alpha King had appeared near the borders of several smaller packs. Many were curious, some were afraid, but all were eager to see if the old legends were true. When Kael finally returned to Crimson Hollow, he did not arrive as the broken man they had cast out. He walked through the gates with calm confidence, his presence so commanding that wolves who passed him instinctively lowered their heads, even without understanding why. Word reached Alpha Magnus quickly. He called an emergency gathering in the courtyard, the same place where Kael had once been humiliated. When Kael entered the courtyard, gasps spread through the crowd. Whispers of disbelief filled the air. "That's Kael," someone murmured. "He looks different." Magnus stood from his seat, his face hardening. "You dare return after your crimes against this pack?" Kael stopped in the center of the courtyard, looking directly into Magnus's eyes without fear. "I return because the truth deserves to be heard. You did not banish me because of any crime. You banished me because you feared what I might become." Magnus's expression flickered, just for a moment. "You sealed my memories when I was a child," Kael continued, his voice steady and clear. "You destroyed my family and hid the truth from this entire pack for years, all so you could rule a bloodline that was never truly yours." Murmurs of shock spread through the crowd. Dorian, standing near his father, looked pale, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Father," Dorian said quietly, "is this true?" Magnus did not answer immediately, which was answer enough. Kael stepped forward. "I do not wish to bring war to this pack. I only wish for the truth to be known, and for those who were wronged to receive justice." The pack elders, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. They examined the mark on Kael's shoulder, confirming what many had only heard as legend. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the elders bowed before him, one by one. Magnus's pride would not allow him to accept defeat so easily. "If you believe you deserve this title," he said, stepping down from his seat, "then prove it. Challenge me, if you dare." Kael studied him calmly. He had no desire for fighting, but he understood that some truths could only be settled through a fair and accepted trial, recognized by pack law. "I accept," Kael said simply. The challenge was set for sunset, following ancient pack traditions. It was meant to be a test of strength and spirit, not cruelty. Many gathered to watch, including Celine, who stood at the edge of the crowd with tears in her eyes, unable to look away from the man she had once betrayed. When the moment came, Kael and Magnus faced each other under the orange sky. Magnus moved first, testing Kael's reflexes, but Kael's new strength allowed him to respond with ease, his movements calm and precise. The match continued for several minutes, each testing the other's skill. But it became clear, with every passing moment, that Kael's strength now far surpassed anything Magnus could match. Eventually, Magnus was unable to continue, and the elders declared the challenge complete. Kael did not seek to harm him further. Instead, he stepped back, allowing the pack to witness the outcome with clarity and peace. "This was never about revenge," Kael said to the crowd. "It was about truth. Magnus hid that truth for his own benefit, and in doing so, hurt many people who did not deserve it." The elders soon confirmed Magnus's actions through old records hidden within the pack archives. Faced with undeniable proof, Magnus stepped down from his position, accepting responsibility for what he had done. Dorian, ashamed of his part in the betrayal, chose to leave Crimson Hollow to find his own path, away from his father's mistakes. Celine approached Kael quietly, her eyes filled with regret. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I let fear control my choices. I should have trusted you." Kael looked at her gently. He felt no anger anymore, only a quiet understanding. "I forgive you," he said, "but I think it's best that we both move forward separately." Celine nodded, accepting his words with grace. In the days that followed, Kael was formally welcomed as the rightful leader of Crimson Hollow, a position he accepted not with pride, but with humility. He vowed to lead with fairness, understanding what it felt like to be overlooked and underestimated. Liora remained by his side, not only as his advisor, but as someone who understood him in ways few others could. Over time, a quiet friendship grew between them, built on mutual respect and shared experience. Kael often walked along the edge of the forbidden forest, remembering the night he had nearly lost everything. It was there that he had also found everything that truly mattered: his identity, his strength, and his purpose. He realized that the wedding day he once believed was the worst day of his life had actually been the beginning of his true story. The betrayal had broken him, but it had also revealed the strength he never knew he carried. As the sun set behind Crimson Hollow, Kael stood at the highest point of the territory, looking over the land he now protected. The wolves who had once ignored him now looked to him with respect and hope. He was no longer the quiet, overlooked man from before. He was Kael Aurelius Vandermeer, the Alpha King who had risen from betrayal to become the leader his people truly needed. And for the first time in a long while, he felt at peace.